Hi, this is Dr. Mark Eisen from Riverdale Wellness Group with Dr. Gershatter. We will be performing several exercises during the first 3 weeks of someone's care through the rehabilitative phase of care. The first one is loading with the dead bug. This exercise introduces you to abdominal bracing while moving your legs and stabilizing your shoulder region. It will improve the strength and endurance of your front core, enhancing the stability of your abdominal and pelvic muscles. First, we begin while lying on your back. Bend your knees and place your feet flat on the floor. Initiate an abdominal brace while bringing your ribs down to your hips while pulling your belly button towards your spine and contracting your pelvic floor. Raise your arms so that your hands are over your shoulders while keeping your knees bent at the same time. Angle throughout the movement. Lift your right foot off of the ground until your knees is pointing straight up toward the ceiling. While maintaining your raised knee, take a breath in and slowly lower your right foot to the ground. Repeat with your left leg. Alternate continuously for 1 minute. It is important that you keep the pressure you feel between your lower back and floor equal throughout the entire exercise.
Now, as I'm doing this, one tip that's helpful in thinking about the abdominal brace is imagine that someone's about to come in and give you a jab to the gut or a poke to tickle you. And you would contract your stomach in preparation for that. And that's something that you want to maintain the entire way through this exercise. By strengthening the core, and while doing these, while lifting up the leg, it throws off the balance and it initiates the muscles of the abdomen and of the lower back. And again, with each of these leg raises, you want to hold it for about the time of one breath. So that can be anywhere between 2 and 4 seconds.
We now go on to the next exercise, loading the double leg glute bridge. This movement will help strengthen your gluteal muscles while stabilizing your lower back and core. The goal of this exercise is to be able to raise your pelvis high enough so that there is a straight line between your knees, hips, and shoulders. While lying on your back, bend your knees and place your feet flat on the floor. Initiate an abdominal brace and contract your pelvis floor. Maintain this brace position throughout this exercise. Next, start by lifting your toes to your shins so that only your heels rest on the floor. Lift your butt up off of the floor and squeeze your gluteal muscles. Raise your pelvis high enough so there is a straight line between your knees, hips, and shoulders. Once you maintain the bridge position, for a few breaths, slowly lower your hips to the ground. Ensure that you do not lose your abdominal brace and avoid tilting your hips. Repeat for 1 minute. Focus on smooth, controlled motion while keeping your heels on the ground and your abdominal brace.
And again, what's very important with this exercise, as Dr. Eisen mentioned, is that you want to keep your knees, your hips, and your shoulders about even. You want to imagine that there's a straight line that's going through each of these 3 spots.
We now go on to the next exercise, loading using side laying clam. The focus of this exercise is to maintain a straight spine while improving the endurance and stability of your core. It is important to learn how to move your hips without moving the rest of your body. Lay comfortably on your side with a towel and hand under your head. Stack your shoulders, knees, and feet with your hips and knees comfortably bent. Place your other hand on the side of your abdominals and perform an abdominal brace while contracting your pelvic floor throughout the entire exercise. Next, while avoiding any twisting in your body, separate your knees by lifting your top knee up and away from your bottom knee while keeping your feet together. Remember to keep a straight spine and your shoulders back and down. Once you've lifted your knee as high as possible without any rotation of your hips or trunk, hold for a breath and slowly lower your leg to the starting position. Repeat for 30 seconds and switch sides.
The reason why this muscle is so important in strengthening is because so often this muscle becomes weak and inhibited due to poor posture while we're walking and those type of situations. What this does is this helps to stabilize the hip and to avoid hip and low back injury while we're walking or while we're running.
Next, we go on to the next exercise, loading side plank on knees. You will greatly improve the stability of your core with this exercise, as it will help build strength and endurance within your side core. Lay comfortably on your side with your elbow under your shoulder, knees and feet stacked with knees comfortably bent. Place your hand on the side of your abdominals and perform an abdominal brace while you contract your pelvic floor. Maintain this braced position throughout the entire exercise. While maintaining your brace, press into the floor with your elbow and raise your hips off of the ground until your body makes a straight line with only your elbow, knee, and foot touching the ground. After maintaining this position for a few breaths, slowly lower your back to the ground, reset your abdominal brace, and rise up again. Again, repeat for 30 seconds and switch sides.
Now, what might be helpful with initiating this exercise and making sure that you're keeping a nice straight posture is first to come up. Do it in 2 steps. First to come up, and then when you're in this raised position, push forward at the hips. And this might be helpful in keeping the proper position.
We now go on to the next exercise, loading quadruped kicked back. This is a great exercise to maintain your core stability while increasing the coordination of your back and hip muscles. Begin to the quadruped position. Place something flat on the small of your back to remind you about maintaining your stability and not twist your hips or trunk. Maintain an abdominal brace and contract your pelvic floor throughout the entire exercise. Gently slide your right foot back, contracting your gluteal muscles and preventing any hip twisting. When your right knee is fully straight, lift your foot off of the ground. Make sure your toes are pointed towards the ground, but do not allow your ankle to come higher than your hip. Once you have held your right leg off of the ground for a few breaths, slowly bring your knee back under your hip to the quadruped position. Repeat on the left side, alternating legs continuously for 1 minute. Remember to maintain your abdominal brace and try not to let the flat item that was on your back fall off of it.
And that's very important because you don't want to start twisting the hips and the pelvis. That's going to offset your balance and will start making you use other muscles that you're not necessarily looking for. And what's helpful when you do the quadruped position, imagine that you're standing over a box. So you want your shoulders to be about 90 degrees and you want your hips to be about 90 degrees. And a common mistake is as we go, we start to lean forward and back. So you want to try to maintain that position the whole time, and that's why having something on your back is also helpful. So I'll show one more side. On the left side. And again, as always, very important to keep that abdominal bracing. And again on the right.
We now go on to the next exercise, which is load low plank on chair. This is a great method of strengthening your abdominal muscles and improving the endurance of your entire core while working on your ability to breathe comfortably. You kneel in the front of a chair, placing your elbows and forearms on the chair. Perform an abdominal brace and contract your pelvic floor. Maintain this braced position throughout the entire exercise. As you push into the chair with your forearms, strengthen one leg at a time, contracting your glutes and quads. Hold this position as you keep pushing your elbows and forearms into the chair, keeping your body in a straight line. Once you've held the plank position for about 10 seconds, breathing comfortably, slowly lower your knees to the starting position. Take a second to relax and begin again. Repeat for a total of 5 rounds of a 10-second hold each.
And again, as we talked about with the glute bridge, what's very important is that you want your knees to be even with your ankle, even with your knees, even with your hips, even with your shoulders. So imagine again as if someone's having a plank or a stick on your back, and you're trying to hold it up. So you don't want to start dipping down this way, and you don't want to come up too high this way. So you want to try to keep it nice and straight here. And again, we'll rest. And one more time. Pushing back into the heels. And taking a nice straight line.
We now move on to the last exercise in loading, completing the first 3 weeks. This is a load reverse lunge with chair. This is a great exercise to increase the strength of your hip and leg muscles while improving the balance and stability of your core. Begin with staying tall behind a chair with your hands slightly resting on the backrest. Place your feet close to the chair back so that when you step back, it prevents your knee from going over your toes. Perform a standing abdominal brace while keeping your spine upright.
So again, demonstrating this, standing right in front of the chair, keeping the abdominal bracing nice and tight. And you're just going to step back and lunge.
Step back with your right leg, placing your foot in line with your hips and the toes of your right foot on the floor. As you get your sense of balance, begin lowering your body down by bending both knees and maintaining an upright posture. Keep an equal amount of pressure on both legs while lowering. Now, push into the floor with your left leg as you raise yourself back up to the starting position. Repeat with the left leg, stepping back. Alternate leg continuously for 1 minute.
You can do different angles with the knee also. It's easier to get started with just keeping it straight and going this way. As you get a little bit more advanced with it, you can actually bend the knee this way, which will put a little bit more strain on the quads in here as well. Get a nice stretch in the front of the quads and in the hip flexors. Show one more time on the other side. Coming back and dropping down. And what's important when we do any type of lunge is you don't want your knee to go over your toes. That puts a lot of strain on the knee and can lead to a lot of knee injuries.
Just to remind you, these videos should be performed for 5 days in a week for 3 weeks. If there's any pain, please contact your doctor regarding your health and the health of your spine.